Hey friends, Cherie here. Welcome back to the channel, Gardening at Home with Cherie. Well, I'm out here about to do my harvest for today, and I thought I'd do a quick scan. You can see the first flush of these daylilies have passed. I'll go through and deadhead them later today or tomorrow just to keep the plant looking neat. But I love those. Lots of my squash and my cucumbers that are on this outer border are doing well. I have some flowers that self-seeded from last year, setting their blooms and opening up. There's some more over here. I feel like this might be a Cosmo. I have to look back. Dahlias are setting more and more blooms. The first flush has kind of passed, but the second flush I think is going to have even more blooms. And so yeah, just do a quick scan. The squash is just doing so wonderfully. I have a lot of winter squash on this outer border of the garden. And so, you know, it'll be a while before I'm harvesting anything from there, but I got to keep them healthy and growing. I can see some that are setting their very first fruit, which is so cool. But I'll get in there and do some inspections. Lots of flowers are starting to open up. This is an echinacea plant. This is a black-eyed Susan. They're gonna open soon. Cannot wait. Love those. The mint, I've harvested mint twice already this season, and I gotta harvest more. I'm gonna finally come in and get this border set up. You can see here the echinacea has started blooming. That is so beautiful. I have some hot peppers out here that are starting to flush, though I don't know. I think I might take these off green and do something with those, and then let them bloom more, and then do a harvest later in the season and let them fully ripen. But I have a lot of mint to harvest again out here. And a lot of ginger mint that has grown back. I get that harvested. I got a lot of mulch in, and so my final part of mulching is going to be around the exterior here. And so I'll get that all harvested and cleaned up, and then get that set so this can stay a little bit neater. But yeah, the apple mint also is ready for another harvest. And like I said, just a lot of ginger mint. So I'll be getting that. I left this radish plant here as it went to seed, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and harvest some of these seed pods and pickle them. And then the next round that's blooming, I'll leave that there. But yeah, this is, I might pull some of those onions just because these were like my extra onions. So I just tucked them into grow bags, but I'm kind of ready for some fresh onions. This Merlot lettuce is still going strong in the summer heat. It's been so hot here, but it stayed wet with the rain also. So, and it's just a beautiful and delicious lettuce. So I'm gonna harvest more of that. And then this bed here, you can see the mint has grown again. And so I have a lot of chocolate mint to harvest from here. I'm so excited for the amount of chocolate mint that I've already harvested, and it is the first week in July. And so that is like just so exciting to have so much of that delicious mint. I have some bean plants and then lots of squash plants. Need to get a little cleaned up, but fruits are getting bigger. I'm looking forward to being able to harvest that. This squash here might end up being the first one to get harvested. Looks like the biggest so far, but I still have more plants to inspect. The leaves are so big that it hides the fruit. And so I'll get in there. It'll be a great time to also just do a plant check. I have lots of tomatoes that I need to stake. I have melons and things like that that I need to stake to the fence. Most of the varieties of nasturtium that I sowed from seed back in May have opened and bloomed. I might go around and find some well-formed flowers and harvest those. It's thrilling to see some of the first tomatoes are forming also. All right, friends, so let's get these herbs. I've decided that I'm going to freeze dry them. I'm not sure if I mentioned before, but I'm gonna start over here. I'm gonna go ahead and snip off some basil just for lunch today. And then I'm gonna get the rosemary and sage from over in this area. This rosemary smells so incredible. I accidentally broke off the top of an onion, so I'm gonna go and take that inside as well. The basil also is just stunning and delicious smelling. I still have a lot of freeze-dried basil from last year, so I'm just gonna use this fresh, but I have lots of basil planted in other places, which you will see when I finally do a garden tour, and that's growing to be harvested and preserved. All right, and here's the sage. So I got a green onion stalk, which I might get some more from another section. Sage, gorgeous basil, and rosemary. And you can see here there's still plenty on the plants, and they will continue to grow. And again, I have multiples of all these herbs throughout the garden. This is just the first plant that I put out, so it's the biggest one. And so it's nice to get this early harvest and preservation going already in the beginning of July. And so yeah, that's what those look like. And then you can see the basil still is. Basil we come out pretty much every day, get a piece here and there to put into a salad or to cook with. So all right, now I'm gonna go over to the other side of the garden and get the mint, and that'll be enough for the freeze dryer for today. And then I'll share the rest of the harvest in my next video. So let's go get the mint. I actually decided to go ahead and get a few of these French marigolds. They're so prolific. All of the ones that I've planted have grown in so nicely, and they are in full bloom. So I'm gonna test freeze dry these. I've dehydrated lots of flowers over the years, but I freeze dried some last year, and they were the nasturtium, which are thinner, and they turned out great. So I'm gonna test freeze dry some marigolds, because I might do a full freeze dry oven full of those as well. So I'm gonna grab some nasturtium on the other side with the mint also. Okay, so we are over here with the mint, and yeah, I'm just going to get in here and cut back as much as I can from this section, because I need to finish lifting up and trellising my tomatoes, and this will probably be enough for the freeze dryer for today. And then in the next harvest I will do the rest. Now the mint doesn't take a long time to freeze dry, so it is early, so I might be able to get in 2 batches. So if I see that the time is nearing, I can run out and get a second batch and let that run overnight. But yeah, let's get that started. Basically I'm just gonna fill this plate up, and I'll know that'll be plenty. All right, so I got a lot of mint, and you can see here I didn't even make it through halfway through this one bed. The mint was actually even longer than I thought. It was kind of laying down on the ground. So it's laying down on the ground, but then when you pull it up, you can really see how tall it is. So I'm gonna go get this inside and get this cleaned up and start working on this, and then I'll come back out together. All right, so I'm on the screen porch now, and I got the herbs all rinsed and dried. You can see here I still have plenty of space on the tray with the sage. So I'm gonna head down to the garden, get some more marigolds, and then I'm gonna get these into the freeze dryer. I could clip some more rosemary, but this is all fine. And like I said, I do want to get a second run of the mint in. So these are 2 trays of chocolate mint. So I'm gonna go get like I said, some more marigolds. And then I need to get this basil in the house. It's very warm today. So I'm gonna get this basil cleaned up, wrapped in a paper towel and put in the fridge. Or actually, I'm using it for a sauce. So I might just go ahead and whip that sauce up real quick and have that in the fridge. But anyway, I'm going to get the marigolds and I'll come back real quick to show you that. And then I'm gonna stick these trays into the freeze dry.
I just wanna go out on a walk with you. Baby, you know I just like to talk with you. You don't have to tell me anything that's new. I just wanna go out on a walk with you. I just wanna see your shadow next to mine, sailing over pavement with our two outlines. I like to see the shape you're in from time to time. I just wanna see your shadow next to mine. I just wanna see the same things you can see, understand the meaning on a new degree.
All right, so I added some more of the French marigolds. And I'm gonna go ahead and slide these trays into the freeze dryer. The mint usually takes the herbs in general usually take 5 to 6 hours. And so I do think I'll be able to get a second round of mint going later today, and I'll let that run overnight. So yeah, but I'll show you what this all looks like when it comes out of the freeze dryer. Okay, the freeze dry process is complete. Trays are still cold. So I'm gonna get these out and then I'm going to refill and do another round of mint. All right, friends, and so here are the 4 trays. I'm gonna close this, the freeze dried rosemary. 2 more trays of freeze dried chocolate mint. I've already preserved more chocolate mint this season than I did the whole of last year, so I'm thrilled that I've been staying on top of that. And then here is the freeze-dried sage with the freeze-dried French marigolds mixed in. And you have to check them all, make sure that they're really dry and crumbly. I've already done that. I'm gonna store them in glass jars with oxygen absorbers. Now, if you don't have a freeze dryer, you can do the same thing with a dehydrator. Your things will look a little bit darker. I did a test. I've had my freeze dryer now for 3 years, and I got it purposely because here in Minnesota Zone 4, I cannot grow all year. To be honest, if I could grow all year long, I wouldn't bother with a freeze dryer. But this helps me preserve the abundance that I grow. I grow a lot of food. I grow very intensely, and I wanted to be able to store it in a way that would keep it as fresh and nutrient dense as possible. And so I personally really like the flavor of a lot of the freeze dry herbs. There are a few things that I've tested that they were just weird freeze dried, and so I still prefer to dehydrate those things. And so I just kind of do a test before I do everything. Like the rosemary, I'm gonna cook with this, and yeah, I'll know if it gives off the flavor that I want versus when I dehydrate it. Of course, if you live in a really dry, warm place, or it doesn't have to be super warm, but you definitely want it to be dry, you could air dry your herbs. It takes a really long time. You have to be careful that you are not growing any bacteria. A lot of times you cannot see it, but it could be on there. So you don't want to preserve a bunch of stuff improperly and have it all go to waste, or even worse yet, make yourself sick. So you can play around with different methods. Like I said, you obviously do not have to have a freeze dryer to preserve your herbs and flowers from your garden. It's just my preferred method for most things that I grow.